What's up, everyone? My name is Jay Suresh, and today's topic is El Salvador CBI. So recently, El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, announced changes to their legislation, or he has proposed some changes to their legislation, which would make it possible for El Salvador to provide a citizenship by investment program. They flirted with this idea before. They talked about investing 3 Bitcoins into the economy and they would provide a path to citizenship, but that didn't fly quite high because they had this legislation which required some residency of 5 years before you could be a citizen. So now that looking at the response, they are trying to get rid of some of those requirements, and they're trying to prove that if you put a certain amount of money, you have done significant service to the country, and therefore without that residency you can be granted citizenship. So it hasn't yet been passed, but they're really hoping and trying for it to be implemented. And once that happens, we're really looking forward to a very exciting CBI program from El Salvador. And I'm going to talk about whether it's a good option, not a good option, the pros and cons in detail. I'll make a separate video comparing El Salvador CBI to the Caribbean CBIs, and then also another one with where I'm going to compare the El Salvador to the Turkish CBI, because that's really truly the market with which the El Salvadorian passport is competing with. In terms of the country, El Salvador, I think the biggest positive associated with its country is its president. I think Nayib Bukele is a very young, dynamic president. He became a president when he was 38. He's a very charismatic and a strong leader. He is currently 40. He's been 2 years in power, but he has transformed the country it's been quite phenomenal. So one of the biggest changes that he brought to the country was implementation of Bitcoin as the legal currency. They already have the US dollar as their main currency, which is just, it's a big positive, because then you have a stable currency to work with. But then besides that, you have Bitcoin now that's a legal currency, which is truly a game changer, I feel. The citizenship and the passport. Now, a lot of comments that I come across talk about the negative side of it, the crime rate and the safety situation, etc., etc. I think they aren't really well informed. Of late, the last few years, El Salvador has gone through a transformation. It's it's significantly getting safer and safer by the day. The last couple of years, the crime rate has dropped by more than 75%, which is truly phenomenal. So from a safety standpoint, it's just getting better. A lot of tourism has picked up. A lot of people actually travel and live in El Salvador. Their feedback has truly been good. The people have been helpful. And their experience overall has been quite safe, as long as obviously you're using common sense and following the recommended safety guidelines. You should be fine. Now, the passport itself, I think, is extremely good. It has an access of 137 countries, according to Henley and Partners' latest update that I saw. It keeps changing, but for now, that is the number. The kind of access you get is pretty significant. You get UK, you get Dubai, you get Shenzhen access, you get Japan. So Japan is a big one, which will attract a lot of investors. So the passport itself is pretty significant and strong. If you compare the passport, I think it compares more with the Caribbean passports than the Turkish passport. Let's say Kitts and Nevis. Let's say St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis has 157 countries that their citizens can access. El Salvador is 137. But then the difference of 20, if you actually look at the list of countries, some of the countries, most of the people will actually not travel to. So for me, what truly matters is the main ones, the ones that you would actually travel to and will be helpful for what you're trying to accomplish. So I think, having said, it provides Japan, which is something that the St. Kitts and Nevis does not have, which is a big advantage. And I'm going to make a very detailed video comparing the Caribbean options to the El Salvadorian option. But just off the bat, looking at the passport, I think it's a very strong and a good product. And a lot of people actually won't live full time in El Salvador. You'll have your main residency or your main country. This is a backup, a plan B, a good, solid, stable passport that you would have. Yes, there would be some stigma. There may be some stigma associated with being from El Salvador. So if that's your second ID and that's your plan B and you're actually using it, let's say to travel or to open bank accounts, then people might look at you, might raise an eyebrow, and then only some people do that. For the rest of the world, for most of the world, it should not be an issue. Having said, things are changing, and people even talk about, and maybe an exaggeration, but people talk about it being the next Singapore of Central America, and I hope that happens. It could happen because their president is making significant improvements to the country overall. So I'm very positive and optimistic that we would see much brighter days for El Salvador. It's truly on the right path. So having said, I think it's an excellent program. I hope it materializes and comes into becomes a reality and people have this option. Talking about the 100K donation mark, I think it's fair if they come up with that price. It's definitely an excellent option for a lot of investors. I hope that this video was helpful. I'll keep you updated on more changes, and once this program rolls out, I'll be the first one to make a follow-up video and explain in detail what are the options and how you could go about enrolling or applying to this program. Meanwhile, if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them down below in comments, and I'll try to answer or reply to your comments. And if you have a case-specific inquiry, or if you want to start a CBI with any of the countries, we can help you get started with that as well. The link is in the description. Book a call if you want to initiate your process. That's all for now, and hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next video, take care and goodbye.